All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, a video surfaced online showing a 10-year-old female student of Chrisland school having sex with a male teenage schoolmate while on a school trip in Dubai. And this was really disturbing for most people as it sparked up an outrage over various mainstream media, social media platforms, small groups, WhatsApp, all over the place, right? So the Lagos state government, in a bid to calm the tension, announced that all branches of Chrisland school be shut down. This, of course, generated fresh controversies and outrage, and that made the government reverse that decision after a few weeks. The reopening was announced in a press statement by the Lagos State Commissioner of Education, Mrs. Folashade Adefisayo. Now, what are your thoughts, right? What was the goal behind this action? Was this the right thing to do in the first place? And finally, what should have been the ideal thing the government should have done, right? Again, because we're trying to think of future occurrences, right? Now, please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-8663. So I'm going to bring in Taiwo Akinlami in a bit, but I just wanted to hear your thoughts, Alera, because I got so many calls, so many messages. People said, well, what do you think about this? I was now wondering that, hey, this government should not have, shut down the school, because first of all, it was just a wrong move and they acted in haste. And again, the sad part is that when I was speaking to a few people, they said people that are in close contact with the owners of Chrisland school said that the government never reached out to them.
So it was just
right?
news?
It was just based on the conversations around social media that announcement of the shutting down of the school. So there are so many things for me, and that was why it was important for me to have an expert discuss this. Okay. First of all, there was a case of it's not even an abuse, sex, underage sex, yes. Right? That was the case. So if that was the situation, two things: it didn't happen in the school or in the school premises. Exactly. It happened whilst they were abroad. Yes, she's a 10-year-old girl and the boy is a teenager, but it did not happen within the four walls of the school. So that was one hand. There was something to be dealt with, that a 10-year-old girl was having that kind of sex. Yes. It was really, really erratic, right? So that was a case, you understand, on its own. That's one hand. Yeah. On the other hand is, this was supposed to be like something that happened within the school. No, sorry, under the purview, the guidance of the school, because the school was the one that carried all of them to Dubai for that trip. That was another hand. I mean, one thing else, yes. Another angle. Then there was the hotel, right? What happened to the supervision on each floor? Because I know a lot of hotels, they do a lot of monitoring and all of that. So how come there was nothing around, monitoring the hallways when you know that children were lodging in that hotel? That's one hand. Yeah. Then again, the Lagos state government, in a bit to react to the situation that happened all over the news, they just wake up and say all schools, and they are not just shutting down the school where they attend. They shut down all the branches. Chrisland is not a school that is just in one place. I think they have in Lekki, they have in VGC. I think this happened in VGC. They have in I know of Okpebi. Or I didn't even know for Anthony. So they have a lot of branches, right? So how can you just say something that happened? This is, first of all, the students were from a particular branch, which is the VGC branch, if I understand it correctly. You then shut down the entire school. So, but now, they have reopened the school. Exactly. But we just want to review. If something, because you cannot prevent children from being children, especially where there are no real parenting happening. So the people that should have been held responsible. Thank you. So what should you think? What are your thoughts on this?
So I mean, I feel like what should have happened initially was not to shut down the whole branches, because it's not like the case of Slide that a student died in the school premises. Yes. This happened abroad, right? So what I feel should have happened was, maybe if at all the government wants to really do something disciplinary about it, they should discipline the school management basically, because first of all, the parents of these children trust you with the guidance, and then making sure that their children are safe. And then this is like overseas to a country that is not even Ghana, or that you guys went by road. So it means that anything can actually happen. And I mean, from experience, based on my own time in secondary school, when you even see like people that would go for holidays or excursions and all that, there is always a either the teacher or maybe somebody like an adult supervising. And then the funny thing now is, they don't even allow these children to they shouldn't have even allowed these children to sleep alone, in the sense that Yeah, okay, maybe because I think part of the things people talked about on the video was that there were 3 boys and she was the only female, and one of the boy was saying, I want to sleep, people are disturbing me. So which means that that room basically probably was for only the boys, and then she came into the room. So now the thing now is, these children that are in that room, what happens if somebody other than the girl, maybe somebody else comes into the room to attack them or something happens? So is it that no adults
well
actually,
that one is a conversation let us ask the expert, because
yes,
me, I'm just going to focus tonight on Lagos State government, because there are so many angles to this conversation.
Really, yeah.
But Taiwo Akinlami is a social development lawyer, co-founder of Power Parenting Company, Parents' Right to Social Protection advocate, and publisher. Akinlami is arguably Africa's foremost child protection thinker and practitioner. His unique philosophy and techniques and teachings on family strengthening child protection and related matters have been well received in over 133 countries. Akinlami is also a prolific writer, poet, and blogger, and he's joined us live from the US of A. Thank you so much, Taiwo Akinlami, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm struggling to hear you, but I think I heard a part of the conversation that you were having before you brought me in. I'm available to answer your questions.
Okay, so I just want us to review this conversation. So let's just start from the basic, the topic. We're sorry that we're having a bit of sound issue, but if you can hear me right, we want to discuss why, the Lagos State government's role in all of this Chrisland school matter, right? There was a shutdown and there was a reopening. What do you think should have been the best thing that the government should have done? There was a case of underage sex. So what should have been the government's role? Was it right for them to have even shut down the school in the first place?
Well, let me start by saying that there's a culture that is becoming very, very rampant, and it's a destructive culture, cancel culture. We try people on the pages of newspaper, we try people on the platform of social media. These things ought not to be so, because you see, we will not always have enough facts to take final comments, to make final comments on certain issues when they occur. That is why there has to be investigative platforms that are open to the members of the public. And because they're open to the members of public are able to take a cue from what these institutions are saying. For example, in Lagos State, there's Ministry of Education, there's Ministry of Youth and Social Development, there's Ministry of, there's Domestic and Sexual Violence Response Agency. All of these agencies and line ministries are responsible for the well-being of children within the school system, because they also regulate schools in Lagos State. Now, when a matter happens, what is the role of these institutions? Their role is to swing in, investigate very fast, and let the members of the public know their findings. But we find out that is not always the case. In the case of Doen, it was not the case. There was an outcry, then the school was shut down. Now, the school has been reopened. Now, if a school was shut down in public, how come it was reopened in secret? So you look at Chrisland matter. Chrisland matter, there was an allegation by a parent that her daughter was raped, and now it was in the public domain, and the Lagos State government was hearing like every other person, and the next thing that the Lagos State government did was to shut down the school by fiat. And when we see things like this, we begin to ask, have we left military government? Are we still in a military government? If there's a matter, if a matter comes to the fore and it is the domain of the public, the rule of natural justice, which is the rule that you can't judge a man without hearing from him or without hearing from her, the rule says that you must hear from the other party. You know, the first to plead his case seems just, and the other comes to examine him. So Chrisland leadership was reading about the closure of their school like every other person. You know, they were thrown into quandary, into confusion. What is going on? The Lagos State government have not found out whether the allegation was true, whether it was April Fool happening late in April, whether it was just a rumor. But on the basis of that trending news, a school was shut down. I think that is not right. But again, within 1 week, the Lagos State government reopened the school, and they now say that they are conducting investigation. Now, which will come first? Is it to shut down the school, reopen it to say you are conducting investigation, or to conduct investigation first? These are interesting times where we don't even know, what is happening anymore. So for me, if we have to look at the nitty-gritty of what happened there, our institutions cannot continue to run in fear. Our institutions must be confident that even when they go wrong, you don't throw away the child with bathwater. You want to find out what is wrong. You are interested in fixing it, not in crushing the institution involved.
You know what? Because we don't have, usually we do not have a lot of time when we are talking.
Straining to hear you.
Oh, Sugar, you're straining to hear me. So that's why I'm trying to reduce my... Okay, so Taiwo, Akinlami, can you hear me? Right? If we were to break down step-by-step move that the government should have taken, what should have been the first thing to do? Because again, we see these things always happening, especially with the Lagos State government, right? Things happen and they just act in haste. What should have been the ideal thing to do? If you were to consult for the government to say, this has happened, these are the steps that should be taken, systematically and legally, what should those steps have been?
Well, I can hardly hear you, but I want to believe that I can make further comments.
Yes, go ahead.
What I want to say is that, number one, as of today, a lot has been said. Chrisland School was reopened by a press release by the government, signed by the Commissioner of Education. We are glad that the Lagos State government retraced its step early. Now, this statement has now said that the matter is going to be investigated, and that those children involved they are going to get psychosocial support. These are critical ways to go. But now, where do we go from here? I think that's what we need to be interested in. It is not about things happen. We take fire brigade approach, then we walk back our steps, then we go to bed. That's why it is interesting that this conversation is being had after the school has been reopened. So where do we go from here? What are we supposed to do? How do we prevent this kind of things from occurring? Note that in all of this, our major interest is the child, are the children that are involved, who are in the midst of all of this. Now, as of today, some parents have gone online, they have exposed the identity of their children. The conversation has moved from what happened in Dubai to the lifestyle of a particular 10-year-old girl. That's what the conversation has become today. If you follow the trend, it was that a school took children to Dubai and something happened in Dubai. Now, as that was going on, there were some tapes. There was a particular tape that was circulating of children abusing themselves because children do not have sex. Any sexual contact between children, anybody below 18, is abuse because children cannot give consent to themselves. They were abusing themselves. That's what happened in that tape. Though I never saw the tape, I just heard what happened in the tape because I refused to see the tape, because seeing the tape is promoting child pornography. Yeah. I will see the tape. It's against the law. According to Cybercrime Act, Cybercrime Act 2015, we are not supposed to view child pornography. You are not supposed to view it. You are not supposed to distribute it. You are not supposed to use it as a point of advocacy. Whatever advocacy you want to do that allows you to share child porn is an advocacy that puts the child in a worse place than it made the child. So I've never seen it, but I'm aware of what happened there. So now the conversation has moved from that bizarre incident to the identity of a 10-year-old girl who has been alleged to be unlikely, to have over 500 videos and all of that. And I think that is in itself is damaging. Is damaging to that child. At the end of the day, after the deed has been done, after people have blamed who they want to blame, this child, the destiny of this child, if care is not taken and the children involved is truncated, is affected for life. Because internet does not forget. It can be 10 years time, it can be 15 years time. that all that we have done now, we come to hunt that little innocent young girl. Because I call her innocent because whatever she has become today is a manifestation of the investment of particularly the parents in her life, is manifestation of investment of everybody around the child. So I don't hold children responsible in this kind of situation. If I'm having one-on-one conversation with them, there's a way I'm going to talk to them. But if I'm having this kind of conversation, the members of public need to know that we goofed, we produced that girl, our inaction produced her. Above all, a parent came to the fore against the admonition of UNICEF to come and share the identity of our child, to claim that our child was abused. If a child is abused, is the press first place to come to? If a child is abused, the courts are there, the agencies of government are there, but the parent chose not to explore those measures that adequately protect the child. They decided to explore those measures that will, at the end of the day, do more harm to the child than good, and that is very sad.
Okay, so I want us to take a very quick break. When we come back from the break, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. All right, so if you just tuned in, we're having an amazing chat with our Akinlami, although you cannot hear us, we're having network issues. All right, so on the Chrisland school matter, and we're trying to review the Lagos State government's closure and reopening of the school and the government role generally in things like this. Now, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-8038-4663. I'm really hoping, Taiwo, can you hear me? If you cannot hear me, let me probably chat the question to you. Because I have a question I would like to ask. Can you hear me? Because I would like to ask a question based on what you just said about the parents. So what should the Lagos State government, what should they do to the parents that decided to explore social media as a point to talk about the issue of the allegation? I suppose these protected, what's it called, platforms where they could have gone to go and report that issue. I don't know if you heard that question.
Okay, so I didn't hear you clearly, but I want to believe that you want me to respond to. I want to believe that you want me to respond to. So in the beginning, you made reference to the role of the school, what happened in Dubai. Mm-hmm. I hope you know that as of today, there's no official statement that has been released as to what happened in Dubai. Everything that we are hearing is conjecture. The side of, as a matter of fact, the school has issued a press release. In that press release, they made it clear that they had 76 children who joined them, and only 5 children, went out of line, went out of order. That is the statement the school has released. Now, there's a lot of speculations, a lot of things that are out there. Now, the only way what the school has said can be countered is the report of the Lagos State government on the issue. What did they find? That is the only way the school can be countered. And I think that I want to be patient. It is important that we understand that we cannot judge Chrisland as of today. And let me quickly say, what is happening in Chrisland is unfortunate. Why? You know why it is unfortunate? Because I happen to know the school. That's the truth. I happen to consult for them on their child protection matters. I happen to understand that I'm not aware of too many schools in Nigeria today who pay close attention to child protection the way they do. And please note, I am not here to hold forth for Chrisland. Are you getting it? Chrisland has been holding forth for itself. I'm not Chrisland publicist. My interest is how all of this pan out for the child. Whatever we do, whether Chrisland is shut, whether Chrisland is reopened, whether the parents come to the media or they don't come to the media, the most important thing is at the end of the day, everything that we are doing, does it represent the best interest of the child? Whether tomorrow something happens, it may not be Chrisland, it may be another school. How does our action as the media, as the government, as the school, continue to engender the confidence of the members of the public. Those are fundamental issues. If things like this happen in a sane society, how is it addressed? How do we do it? What do we need to do? What are the conditions for closing down? What are the conditions for reopening? All of these are conversations that are critical, and it is important for us to have. Unfortunately, those conversations are locked at the back burner of conversation in cases like this. We hardly have it.
Okay, so let's take some comments, Alero, because we're trying to have Taiwo, Akinlami, if you can check your chat if it's possible to probably read the comments, because
Yes. Okay, so I have a comment here. Hey my sister at Ways, the government shouldn't have shut down the school at the first instance. The offense was not committed within Chrisland, that's within Chrisland school. It affected other innocent children studying in the school. I still maintain my chance that we should not allow underage kids on using Android phones. Lately, the upbringing of that little girl by the parents did not speak well of the scenario, and I don't believe she is 10 years old from the video and her crazy pics on the internet. This is from Bobby Kennedy from Jalingo.
So you see, this is the thing that everybody keeps talking about.
Yeah, she doesn't look 10. She doesn't look like a 10-year-old child. I mean, I feel like we should even let everybody, like he said, let's take the conversation away from the act has happened, whatever it is has happened, right? And I mean, like he said, we need to focus on how best are we going to handle this situation, mostly from the children's perspective.
Absolutely.
How do we even try as much as we can? Because I was even going to ask him that. I mean, as a
I'm hearing you.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Go ahead.
Hallelujah.
Go ahead.
I would like to know, I mean, based on your expertise as a child protective advocate, what would you say is the best way right now? Everything has happened, right? We know the situation. I mean, her image is out there. People know about her, and the story is not a pleasing story. So I would like to know, as a professional in this case, what would be the first thing you would do to, I mean, handle this situation? If at all you were asked to represent this child, what would be the things you would do? The first thing, I mean, and the other processes that you actually, carry up to just ensure that this situation is actually being managed properly.
Okay, I think the first thing is for the parent to stop this conversation. I still read something that the father was saying, was it yesterday? He was still making some statements yesterday.
Yeah.
I think that he was making a statement yesterday. I forgot what the statement is.
Okay, so if you can hear me, the conversation
yesterday.
Yeah,
and I think that the first thing we need to do is to stop this campaign. We need to stop it, because it is inimical to the interests of children. UNICEF, when we were dealing with traditional media, the media that is traceable, not the kind of guerrilla media that we're dealing with right now, where everybody is a media person. Once you have a phone and you have data, you are a media practitioner. You can do and undo. You can destroy people's life. You can kill and make alive. Once you have a phone and you have some followers and you have data, you are good to go as a media person. So all of this had made nonsense of people who go to school to study mass communication, had made nonsense of the expertise you display on your program, the research that you do. All this guerrilla media has made nonsense of it. And so that is why media practitioners, people like you who are astute people, should insist on best practice. And UNICEF, when it was traditional media, said, when a matter has to do with children and a child is abused, particularly if it has to do with child sexual abuse, we should conceal the identity of the child by all means necessary. We should. Now, if they were writing that, if UNICEF has that position, which is on their website, for protocol for reporting matters that have to do with children, when it was traditional media, what do you think UNICEF will be saying now? Sure. That matters that has to do with children must not be brought to the public sphere. When the child is abused, we must seek private ways to solve those problems, because we cannot control what happens when that news leaks.
True.
So the challenge is that we need to stop that campaign. Number two, there are no hopeless situations, only hopeless people. That's what Claire Booth said. So I believe that it is not over for the 10-year-old girl. What is happening is that we need to stop this campaign. We need to seek help for the child, psychosocial support, regular therapy for that child, for the purpose, two things need to happen to that. Two things. That child is dealing with the impact of what has happened to her by, by being involved in sexual activities, which is an abuse of herself and everybody involved. Number two, the publicity, the fact that she's before the public domain now. Those are two major things that she's dealing with, and if we are not careful, those things are capable of destroying her for life, depending on what we do. So what do we need to do? We cannot overlook what has happened. We need to begin to look for help for these children, particularly for that girl. We need to look for psychosocial support. We need to look for, and that has to be continuous counseling. We need to take her away from the social media. That her account needs to be closed down. A person, you are not supposed to have a Likey account until you are 16 years old. How come a 10-year-old girl has a Likey account? Posting over 500 videos
So
those of our parents. We need to stop that. We need to stop that platform. We need to stop that, and we need to now begin to work with her in terms of inculcating positive value system. I believe that there's a change that is lurking around. If only we take advantage of that change, because this is the best time to help her, to work with her, to let her see the implication of what has happened. Those around her should apologize to her for failing her, for letting her down. One, for not helping her to understand that all those things she was posting were inimical to her interest. Two, for coming out to begin to have this conversation without proper recourse to the impact of the conversation on her. Everybody in her life, particularly her parents, and those who took the news, they need to be dealt with.
Absolutely. Taiwo.
Last thing, the government.
I was coming.
Regulate the media.
Wait.
Guerrilla media, where everybody can publish anything, call himself or herself any name, no professional training, no nothing. You just come out, and because you have followers, you believe you are a media person. This is destroying our people. That is what happened in the Deeper Life case. In the Deeper Life case, that's how the woman came out and alleged that her child was sexually molested in a Deeper Life in Akwa Ibom. The picture was everywhere. You know what happened at the end of the day? Some people said they wanted to make the child a brand ambassador of a truth. It became a means to defraud her mom and also perpetrate further evil. The mother came out again and did another video and said she has been defrauded on the basis of that. Look at that undue exposure. Some people took advantage of it to say they wanted to make the child a brand ambassador. From there, what did they do? It boomerang again. So those are the things that happen when we expose our children unduly. And this is something that we need to capture. The government knows how to ban Twitter, but the government does not know how to arise when it comes to
that has to do with Akinlami, that brings me to that question I had asked you. I don't know if you can hear me. When I said to you that what should the government have done, or what should they even do now, because the parents have already committed a crime.
Yes.
Because they should have explored the channels for the protected channels, if at all there was an allegation of sexual molestation. But the mother was the first person to go on social media to say her daughter had been raped. So what is the legal measure that the government should do so that tomorrow no parent will wake up tomorrow to expose the child unduly? Right? What should the government, Lagos State government, be doing to parents like that just go out on social media and go and say all sorts of things and expose those children when we know that it is illegal? Oh, did you hear me? Oh, sugar.
Can you hear me?
Did you ask me a question?
Oh, yes. Lord have mercy.
Can you hear me?
Can you switch on my talk back?
You asked me a follow-up question to what I said, right?
No. I think if they switch on my talk back, you can hear me. Okay, today is today. Can you hear me now? Taiwo, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Okay, well.
It's raining, that's why.
Yeah. So I was going to say, if you can hear me, switch on the talk back, please. If you can hear me, I was saying that what should the government do to the parents that decided to explore social media? I suppose going to the right channels to report this alleged issue. So the parents are the ones exposing these children, always coming out on social media. So can we start to put some kinds of strict measures so that no parent will wake up tomorrow and expose a child unduly?
Well, the network
is
is doing violence. Is doing violence to this conversation.
Okay, can you hear me?
You can hear me. I didn't hear you. I tried to, but I think I should make further comments in line of what the further comment I'm going to make is the fact that we are dealing with an unusual situation. Schools need to sit down and ask themselves some critical questions. Are you willing to lead the 21st century child? Parents need to sit down and ask themselves the critical question. Are you willing to lead a 21st century child? We need to come to a place where we agree that these children are ahead of us, far ahead of us, far ahead of us. And if for whatever reason we are going to lead them, we need to descend from the Mount Olympus of saying, I'm a parent. No, you need to now enter the school of the children and learn from them, hear them. What are their cries? What are the issues they are dealing with? Why are they behaving the way they are behaving? What are the things they are dealing with? You cannot know because you were not socialized digitally. You were socialized analog. Analog is slow. If analog was good, we wouldn't have needed digital. Digital makes things faster. Analog was slow. So we analog minds as parents, we are trying to teach digital minds, and we are not humble enough to sit down and ask the question, to say, digital mind, how is your mind working? As of today, the concept of discipline needs to change. The concept of relationship with children needs to change. If socialization is anything to go about, we must understand that the children we are dealing with today are ahead of us. They are digital native. We are digital aliens. And it is important that we understand that and we humble ourselves and begin to learn from our children so that what we learn from them, we can help them.
Thank you so much.
I think thank you so much.
You. I mean, I miss the struggle to hear ourselves. I mean, his points were so valid because I mean, this reminds me of what Norma was talking about.
I'm hearing you now.
Also, ask the question. I think he can hear you.
So, I basically was asking that what can the government do to ensure that parents do not use social media as a means to so for instance, now the mother of this girl, the first thing she did was to go on social media to talk about the incident, to expose the incidents further, because if she didn't have that conversation on social media, it wouldn't have happened and probably wouldn't have been aggravated this way.
Unduly exposing
the child. So now what should the government do to ensure that there are no there are some measures taken in place to make sure that parents do not unduly expose their child to the media, mostly when it comes to situations like this that shouldn't actually be exposed to the media?
Okay, look, if let's assume without conceding that there was a rape case. Now, this was a case of children against children. Let's assume without conceding, because from the report we have read, no rape took place. It was children who were misguided and were abusing themselves. Now, the role that the caregivers have to play there is a role that needs to be investigated, looked into, and all of that, and we come with lessons that are critical for going forward. But you see, if it was a case of rape, assuming without conceding, it happened in the soil of another nation. What exactly is the government? What exactly are we investigating? Are we investigating the sexual abuse? Are we investigating the sharing of the video? If we are investigating sharing of the video, yes, we can investigate under the Cybercrime Act 2015. So, are we looking at the administrative role of the parent? Then, are we looking at the need to protect the children, even if they were in conflict with the law? That's what happened in the Ebano case. You know, there was this case of a child that was allegedly accused of burning down Ebano. And she was allegedly caught on tape. And what did the media do? The media began to release the video of this girl, when in actual fact, the Child Rights Act made it abundantly clear that even where children are in conflict with the law, their identity must be shielded. Even when children are the victim, their identity must be shielded. Now there's a coroner inquiry going on in case of Sylvester Romani. The media has been barred from coming into that coroner inquiry. Why? because children are giving evidence. They are being led in evidence. Because children are the one giving evidence, their identity is supposed to be shielded. Which of that part does the person who granted that woman platform, it did not know and is not supposed to know? Now, which as that person who granted that woman that interview, as he or she been interrogated, has it been answered question that he or she has flouted the law by doing what he or she did, by bringing out that news? Now, because you see, the challenge is that if media houses were invited for questioning after the Ebano case, people will have learned. The problem is that we don't learn from our mistakes. Because showing the picture of the Ebano girl who allegedly burned down Ebano was against the law, was contrary to the position of the law, particularly the position of the Child Rights Act, which is an extant law in Nigeria. Now, which is a law that is also existing in Lagos State, which is a law existing in many places when those pictures were shown. But the truth of the matter is that nobody is asked question because the government does not see the direct impact of this. If it is that somebody is making political statement or somebody is saying something that they believe will affect the government, if it is the Reverend Father Kuka that is saying something, the federal government will respond sharp because they can see how that affects their existence. But when it comes to our children, we look another way. We blame only the school. We blame, but we don't sit down and in this matter, the government has not done well. You know, the media houses who kept publicizing that thing, note, I never saw that video. I never shared it with one person. All of this girls matter that is going on, I have never reposted, tweeted, liked, anything that has to do with it. As far as I'm concerned, it is the noise of the marketplace. I cannot be part of those who will spread it because I know that every time I click my laptop, anytime I click the button of my phone and I'm commenting and I'm sending something, I know that I'm endangering the life of those children involved. I won't do it. All of my comment has been to come out and say that what is going on is wrong. Yeah. It's not in the best interest of the children and it must be stopped.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a final comment quickly.
Yes, I was just going to say that, so one of our viewers just commented that the impression that the mother exposed her daughter is not true. The video was already trending on in the social media before the mother came to cry out. I mean, whatever the case may be.
The mother did not cry out for the video that was online. And this thing did not break. I followed the news intently. This news did not break, did not become a major news until the mother came out. What became news was not that those children were having sex or were sexually molesting themselves and it was videoed. This is not the first time we're going to see video of children trending like that, and it never became any issue. Now, so the main, and that does not make it right. That does not mean it is right. Yeah. The main issue that happened here, even if people saw the girl, did they know her name? Was the name of the girl in the video that was supposed to be trending? Her name was not there. Who exposed the name of the child? It was when the mother came out that the mother mentioned the name of the child. And it was then that people began to dig into who this child is. You know the media now. You know the social media. You know the bloggers. They are trying to outdo themselves. You bring out this one, I bring out that one. There was a pastor that was accused of sexually abusing a woman. A woman came out to say that she was also sexually abused by that pastor, but she shielded her identity. Another blogger came out and revealed the identity that was shielded. Even if the mother has shielded the identity, there's a way the identity will have been brought out by bloggers, guerrilla journalism. So the point, we must not miss the point. Whether we like it or not, whether we argue from now to tomorrow, the children are the losers in this matter. They are the losers, except we do something.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
so my goodness. And on that note, we've run out of time. But, you know, even with the technical challenge that we had, I mean, you were able to give us a lot of pointers. We are hoping that the government is listening because some people should be arrested. That's the bottom line. Yes. Thank you so much, Taiwo Akinlami. Now, before we go, thank you, Alero. We had a fantastic conversation. Do ensure you follow us on Instagram so that PlusTvAfrica interact with us further, drop a comment, and more importantly, follow all our engagements on social media, like, share, invite your families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. If you missed this, our interesting quote, here it is again. The government's solution to a problem is usually as bad as the problem. We'll see you guys live at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation. That shouldn't be though. All right, bye.
Bye, thank you.